So the newest Nintendo Direct happened, and with it, an announcement of a new Fire Emblem game, and a special edition that, if what happened with Xenoblade Chronicles 3 is any indication, no one is going to be able to buy! Hooray? That game is Fire Emblem Engage, a title that seems to want to celebrate Fire Emblem a few years after its actual anniversary. Yeah, for those that don't know, allegedly, this game was supposed to come out during the series' 30th anniversary, hence the prior protagonist popping up in the trailer. Due to the ongoing human malware situation, the game was heavily delayed, which is why we're only seeing it now and why it's coming out in 2023. And I have to be honest, I'm not particularly enthused based on what was shown. At all. To me, the thing that's most surprising is that the visuals somehow look worse than Three Houses, and I don't even know how they managed to do that because Three Houses is many things, but visually stunning it is not. For the record, I'm not talking specifically about the art style, which admittedly I am not a fan of. All the character designs shown thus far are overly busy, the color choices for them are hideous, and the women are borderline creepy with how fanservice-y, VTuber-esque a lot of them look. I'm talking about just the general movement, the animation of the characters' actions, and the textures. The environments, they look almost unfinished. Yeah, the cutscenes seem better than they were in Three Houses. They don't seem as choreographed and stiff, but how often are we going to see characters converse in pre-rendered cutscenes as opposed to them using the in-game models? Speaking of Three Houses and a step back, wow, is the name just so... Fire Emblem Engage. Get it? Engage? Like an engagement ring? Because we're doubling down on focusing on the relationship aspect of Fire Emblem and not the strategy portion. I guess you could also take it to mean the characters are engaging in battle, but either interpretation makes for such a blunt and uncreative title for the game. At least something like Path of Radiance, Blazing Sword, or Shadow Dragon invokes some sense of intrigue as to the contents of the game, what characters you'll meet, what sort of adventures are in store for. This one might as well have been created by one of those random word generators. If there's one concrete observation that I have about the trailer which does worry me about what the game will play like, it is those aforementioned rings that the characters use to summon the former lords to their side, either to aid them in an attack, or to utilize a special ability. You remember how overpowered battalions were in Three Houses? Imagine that, but they didn't try to hide that in the trailers. Just look at the range on this attack. That's what these rings look like. Fan service coded battalions. Either that or they're invocative of the amiibo phantoms from Shadows of Valentia, but I sincerely doubt that. Actually, come to think of it, pushing DLC rings to let people play as their favorite characters from earlier series, that is a remarkably evil way for Nintendo to make a ton of cash, while keeping the series' tradition of having way too much DLC alive after Three Houses had a relatively modest offering via its season pass. But back to my earlier point about the rings. The fact that they are just fan service coded battalions doesn't help to differentiate the game from the one that came before it. If anything, it's just doubling down on the worst aspects of Fire Emblem Three Houses, namely its apathy towards the strategic portion of the equation that resulted in mediocre tactics in that game. I really do need to finish my Three Houses review, trust me, it is coming, because calling it a good game and a bad Fire Emblem game is an inherently inflammatory description, but that's how I felt about it and still do to this very day. The relationship aspect of the series was wonderfully realized in Three Houses, but the overall writing and storytelling, it wasn't spectacular, and actually playing the game on the 3 recycled maps and just blowing through everything with +4 mounted range and magic users through 4 different paths, and those paths taking about 80 hours each, it is a genuine slog that never managed to scratch that strategic itch that I often come to Fire Emblem for. And the fact that it is so bloody long compared to prior entries, even just one route, makes it all the worse. I know this is an unpopular opinion because of how acclaimed Three Houses is, but I would probably place it closer to the middle of the pack if I ever decided to rank all of the mainline entries in the series. Right now, Fire Emblem Engage looks like it's going to be the Fire Emblem Fates of the Nintendo Switch entries, a game that is going to be more remembered as a retread of its predecessor than it will be as its own distinct entry in the series, especially considering it's quite literally reminding people of prior entries. Except at least Fire Emblem Fate's map design was solid, at least for 2 out of 3 of them, and it made meaningful changes to the series mechanics that added to the tactical experience. Regardless of where you stand on the changes that they made to differentiate itself from the game that came before it, and in fact, many of the previous games in the series, at least they were conceptually interesting, at least there was something unique about it. Obviously, we won't know if the same can be said for Engage until the game comes out, but based on what has been shown, this is the first mainline entry in the series that I'm probably not even going to bother playing on day one. I view it with the same enthusiasm as I do, say, the Fire Emblem Warriors spin-off series. I'm happy for the people who are excited for it, but I'm not excited myself. And to the people who are excited for this game, all the power to you. I'm happy that you got a positive reaction to it. And I genuinely wish I could say the same. I'm someone who wants to be excited for this game. I've played every single entry in the series, barring BS Fire Emblem, and this is the first time that I could not care less that it's coming out. I hope it's good. I genuinely hope it is. I want to be proven wrong. After the pandemic screwed up so many things for so many developers, so many people, I really do hope that the folks working at Intelligent Systems manage to make another masterpiece despite all the hardship that they have or potentially are going through right now. But I can't lie. Fire Emblem Engage, at least as of right now, doesn't look all that enticing, both figuratively and literally. That's all for now, folks. Until next time, game on, my friends.